On May 12, 1910, Dorothy Crowfoot Hodgkin was born in Cairo, Egypt. At about the age of 10, Dorothy became interested in chemistry and was supported by a family friend, Dr. A.F. Joseph. During her fourth year at Oxford University, Dorothy conducted a research on X-ray crystallography. This particular field of study was still relatively new when Dorothy came into the picture and still had many opportunities for research. Following her graduation from Oxford, Hodgkin went to study at Cambridge with another X-ray crystallographer known as John Desmond Bernal. It was with him that she discovered how to determine the three-dimensional structures of multiple complex organisms. Dorothy Hodgkin won the Nobel Prize in 1964, quote, for her determinations by X-ray techniques of the structures of important biochemical substances, end quote. Dorothy was also the third woman ever to win the Nobel Prize in Chemistry. Prior to Hodgkin, Marie Curie and Irene Joliot-Curie was the only woman to have won the award. Because of the restrictions of the Cold War, Dorothy Hodgkin was not able to receive a U.S. passport until 1990. Despite her old age, Dorothy held many speeches and lessons on crystallography and her studies on insulin. Gerhard Erzberg was born on December 25, 1904 in Hamburg, Germany. He was born and raised in Germany, but fled to escape the Nazi regime that had taken power. He was not Jewish, but his wife was a Jewish spectroscopist who had collaborated with him on his early work, and he could not risk her life. Erzberg was a physicist, but his work was of great value to chemistry because it dealt with the internal geometry and energy states of molecules. In 1948, he proved that hydrogen molecules existed in planetary atmospheres. In 1956, he obtained the spectra of the methyl radical CH3. In 1959, he obtained the spectra of the methylene radical CH2. In 1971, Nobel Prize was given to Gerhard Erzberg, quote, for his contributions to the knowledge of electronic structure and geometry of molecules, particularly free radicals. Unfortunately, his wife was not there to see it, for she had passed away just months before. In 1974, he became the director of a new facility named in his honor, the Erzberg Institute of Astrophysics in Ottawa, where he worked until his health began to fail in 1995. Born on November 30, 1915 in New York, Canada, American chemist Henry Taube won the Nobel Prize for Chemistry in 1983 for his studies of oxidation reduction, or redox reactions, where electrons are gained or lost during a chemical reaction. In 1952, he showed the correlation between the rates of chemical substitution of carbon in organic reactions and the electronic structure of certain chemical complexes. In 1966, he discovered that some molecules build a chemical bridge prior to the transfer of electrons between molecules in chemical reactions. He later demonstrated how electron transfer process in metals is affected by the structure of the chemical bridge. Henry died at the age of 88 in his home on the campus of Stanford University, where he had taught students for over 20 years. George Ertl was born on October 10, 1936 in Stuttgart, Germany. Ertl studied at the Technical University of Stuttgart, the University of Paris, and the Technical University of Munich. He served as director of the physical chemistry departments at the Technical University of Hanover from 1968 to 1973, and the University of Munich from 1973 to 1986. During this period, he also toured the United States as a visiting professor. He became director of the Department of Physical Chemistry at the Fritz Auer Institute in Berlin in 1986, and he served in the capacity until he was named Professor Emeritus in 2004. Ertl's prize-winning work focused on the surface chemistry. His experimental methods added a new level of precision and that was previously unobtainable when studying the reactions between gases and solid surfaces. By using vacuum technology developed for the semiconductor industry, he was able to refine the Haber-Bosch process for synthesizing ammonia. His methods had both experimental and commercial applications, ranging from the study of mechanics of ozone depletion to the improvement of the performance of hydrogen fuel cells. On May 22, 1927, George Andrew Olah was born in Budapest, Hungary. He studied and taught at the Technical University of Budapest. He immigrated to Canada in 1956 and later to the US. He taught at Case Western Reserve University and the University of Southern California. Although theoretically recognized for several decades as a common intermediate in many organic reactions, carbocations were unobservable because they were a short-lived, unstable class of compound. Ola was able to successfully disassemble, examine, and then recombine carbocations through the use of superacids in ultra-cold solvents. His breakthrough, announced in 1962, initiated a new branch of organic chemistry and led to the development of innovative carbon-based fuels and higher-octane gasoline. He won the 1994 Nobel Prize for Chemistry for, quote, his contribution to carbocation chemistry, work he did in the 60s isolating carbium ions.